Hello and welcome back to another World of Warcraft lore video. This time we're going to be going on a character. Now this is a little bit unlike my previous ones, but I've decided it's probably about time that we spice up the lore videos, and today we will be covering Archimonde. There are about 130 characters that I have scoped out for this one, so prepare to be in it for the long haul. Anyway, let's get into this video itself. So Archimonde was a massive and immensely powerful Eridar. While we were able to defeat him, he brought Azeroth to its knees, and basically it was nearly the end of the world if his plan had have been successful. And his story starts about 25,000 years ago on a planet called Argus. He, along with kil'jaeden and Velen, were the rulers of the Eridar, a race of very magically proficient beings that had a very advanced civilization in comparison to a lot of others. They had sprawling utopian metropolises. Okay, probably not in the technological sense, but certainly they had big cities, big towns, they had magic-based technology, and they were essentially just a very, very advanced and forward race. The rulers of Argus were contacted by Sargeras at one point, and Sargeras is a Dark Titan and the leader of the Burning Legion. Sargeras could have chosen to destroy their planet utterly, but he looked at them, he saw how powerful they were, and decided that they could be of great use to the Burning Legion. He contacted the three leaders of the Eridar, and he offered everything they could want. Supreme and unending power with which they could forge a galaxy-wide utopia. Or at least that's what they were promised. One of their leaders, Velen, foresaw what happened, and he led a band of exiles away from the planet. Archimonde and kil'jaeden, however, chose to stay, not seeing the dark future that awaited them. Archimonde himself was given immense power, and he grew both in size and magical ability. He was transformed into what would be called a Man'ari by Velen's Eridar, who renamed themselves the Draenei to make the distinction, with Draenei meaning exiled ones in their native tongue. Sargeras appointed Archimonde as the Burning Legion's field commander, noting that he was proficient with destructive magic and military strategy. Archimonde had basically put in place an army structure, with he added in pit lords and doom guards, and these seem to be more of the higher ranking positions. From what I can gather, the pit lords would act as commanders over very large forces, while the doom guards would lead smaller units. The Burning Crusade travelled across the cosmos, either enslaving or just wholly destroying all life that they found. They would, however, come to our planet of Azeroth about 15,000 years after the introduction of the Eridar. Queen Azshara and her highborn started the extremely reckless use of arcane magic, and not just the sort of normal mage-style one that was regulated by Dalaran that we sort of came to see. No, full-on extravagant use, and it was very reckless. This was eventually noticed by Sargeras, and Sargeras saw that this power was coming from the Well of Eternity. This was something that was central to Kalimdor, and it was a source of absolute immense power. While pretty much all of the Legion's management was involved in the attack on Azeroth, it really mainly came down to Archimonde because he was the field commander of their armies. And things, well, they initially went quite well. One of the Legion's lieutenants, called Hakar the Houndmaster, arrived on the planet with the goal of stabilizing the portal. Once this was complete, legions and legions of demons poured through and started ravaging the planet. This disaster was averted, by a few different characters. They were Malfurion, Illidan, Tyrande, and then the various Dragonflights, who, using their combined forces, were able to destroy the portal. This cut off the Legion, and it had the effect of banishing Archimonde and the other demons back into the Twisting Nether. For thousands of years, he then basically bided his time and planned his next attack on Azeroth, and eventually, he did find a way. His brother, kil'jaeden, in his sort of his quest to kill the Draenei, because he felt especially sort of betrayed by what Velen did, he found that he corrupted the orcs, and he used them to essentially wipe out the Draenei, apart from the survivors who would later make it to Azeroth. And so he did this with the orcs, and then he created the Lich King and the Plague of Undeath. They had planned to use these undead as a means of weakening the planet before the full force of the Burning Legion arrived to invade the planet. Archimonde was to command the Legion forces on the planet. However, there is one drawback to being an absolutely ginormous and immense being like him. You need to be summoned there, and it takes a hell of a lot of energy to summon one as powerful as Archimonde. This was handled by a being, well, a man, I suppose, a lich, really, called Kel'jaeden. He was a traitorous member of the Kirin Tor who defected to the Scourge and founded the Cult of the Damned. He, along with the Scourge, attacked Dalaran and they stole a powerful artifact called the Book of Medivh from the city. This book had a great deal of power, and it was arcane power. That means it could be used to create a portal, and this was the portal that would be used to summon Archimonde. But Archimonde did not come alone. He brought a whole host of demons, infernals, hounds, various different things, all to aid the Scourge in their attack on the human kingdom of Lordaeron. And, well, the attack was pretty damn successful. The events that he caused would basically lead to the destruction of the kingdom of Lordaeron. It would later, of course, be known as the Forsaken. Archimonde then decided that the Lich King was no longer really needed. I guess he just wanted more direct control, therefore he placed a Dreadlord by the name of Tichondrius in command of the Scourge. The Lich King, however, did prepare for this, and he still had quite a bit of power. While Tichondrius did take command for a time, he did not destroy the Lich King or the Frozen Throne in which he was encased. This pretty much meant that later on, the Lich King was able to strike out on his own, which would garner the attention of kil'jaeden and then a series of events. But honestly, this is just a story for another time. So then he was summoned, he replaced the Lich King, essentially at least for a small amount of time, and then he basically went on to use his immensely destructive magic to destroy the city of Dalaran. Like, just himself. He is that powerful. He then proceeded to summon a whole bunch of other demons. These include some of his lieutenants and very important people, well, not people, demons, like Mannoroth. They continued to just ravage Lordaeron until Tichondrius noticed that the orcs were gone. They followed the orcs across the sea until they found them on Kil'jaeden, and then they also found the Night Elves. Now, the Night Elves had defeated them in the War of the Ancients, so they were really quite keen on getting their revenge. Archimonde had hatched a plan which involved getting Mannoroth to, via his blood, re-enslave the orcs and then get them to kill Cenarius. Cenarius is an Eternal and a very, very powerful being, and therefore they didn't really want to face him themselves. They did actually complete their main goal. Cenarius was destroyed. However, the plan wasn't really, it didn't really reach full completion because Grom actually broke free of the Blood Haze and then Withral killed Mannoroth, thus finally freeing the orcs from the Burning Legion. After this, Archimonde launched the full invasion of Kil'jaeden, and he mainly focused on, at least initially, on the destruction of the Night Elves. There was definitely a very personal element to that fight. He sent Tichondrius to Ashenvale, and this was where he actually corrupted a large part of the forest using an artifact called the Skull of Gul'dan. This was, of course, the Skull of Gul'dan, and it had been retrieved from where he was murdered by a whole host of demons inside the tomb of Sargeras. That means it's a very corrupted artifact, and this was used to destroy this part of Ashenvale, which we now currently call Felwood. Not only did this hit the Night Elves hard in terms of resources, but it also brought many of the native species of the forest under the full control of the Legion. The scheme was, however, not fully successful. Illidan Stormrage was able to kill Tichondrius and then steal the skull, using its powers for himself. Archimonde's final plan was to reach the World Tree Nordrassil and consume its power. The tree had been soaking up the powers from the waters of the Well of Eternity for many, many years. It was very old, and there was just a great deal of energy inside it. There was enough power, actually, for Archimonde to enhance his powers to the point where he could rival that of Sargeras, which is insane. Sargeras is supposed to be the one guy who is so powerful that not even the Titans can stop him. Archimonde did actually come very close to realizing his plan. He ascended Mount Hyjal, tearing his way through the defenses of the humans, then the orcs, and finally the Night Elves, which he actually just destroyed by brushing his hand at them. When he finally started to drain the power of the tree, thousands of wisps appeared. These had been summoned in by Malfurion Stormrage, who used the Horn of Cenarius, which I suppose is another important artifact. The wisps surrounded Archimonde, and ultimately they just destroyed him. There was, of course, a massive explosion, and this caused a lot of damage to the World Tree. However, it has, over time, managed to mostly heal itself. And that is actually pretty much it as far as Archimonde's character goes. We currently treat him as being fully dead. However, since he is so much of a demon, it's, I guess, hard for him to be 100% dead, since a part of their spirit just retreats back to the Twisting Nether. Still, lore-wise, he kind of is dead, and it's probably going to be a long time before we see this guy again. At any rate, we probably will have to deal with kil'jaeden before we get back to Archimonde version 2. But, yeah, there definitely is a lot more of this series to come, and there are a lot more villains in World of Warcraft, so overall the future is, well, it's bright or bleak depending on how you look at it. Anyway, thank you very much for watching this video. If you have any feedback, suggestions, or any character requests, then I will add them to my list of characters. There are already 130 on the list, so it may take 2 years to get to yours. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.